Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
And good evening. Welcome to another JK Deal Reveal, where every week we bring you a deal either up for grabs, like this week. If you're interested in this week's deal, just send us an email and we will put you in touch with the agent, wholesaler, or seller, depending on what the case is. And we let you do your magic with a little bit of our magic built in on the front end. So this is our deal reveal every Thursday, 7 p.m. for the past almost 4.5 years. We've been featuring a deal or two, and this week is no different. But what might be a little bit different tonight, and we've done this a couple times in the past, is there's actually some creative terms available on the front end of this property. There is an opportunity here to take over the current owner's mortgage. And so, what does that mean? Well, it depends in every situation, but we're going to see how, in this particular example, it will allow you to buy this property with a lot less capital than what it would normally take to buy something like this. Especially if you're chiming in from Canada or from outside the US. If you do not have a social security number, if you don't have US income or credit, well, it's going to cost you more to buy a deal like this if you don't do creative terms. And so, with that being said, let's jump right in. I see a bunch of you just logged in. I'll do a quick shout out to Bobby, to Brian, to Charles, and David, and Glenn, and Heather, and Jenny, and John, and Julie, and Kip, and Amy, and Larry, and Leonard, and Nancy, and Pierre Marc, and Rich, and Robert. SP, nice to have you here. Stan, Steve, Varun. Oh, and there's more people logging in. I lost track in my chat now, but hello, welcome to another deal reveal. And also, hello if you're listening live on Facebook or on YouTube on our channel. So, with that being said, let's jump right in. I have to remove that slide, but we had a great time for the Epic Bus Tour about a month ago now. The next one is slated for August. All right. And so if you are interested in the next bus tour of Cleveland to go check out some properties, you can definitely take a look on our website and see what the dates and what everything looks like for that next event. So the deal reveal for this week, we're going to look at it lightning fast. We're actually going to see if there's cash flow. Here's a spoiler alert. There's no cash flow on this deal, but that doesn't mean it's not a good deal. You're going to see in just a few minutes. We're going to see if it makes sense with these numbers to do this deal. We're going to thank one of our gatekeepers, one of our army of gatekeepers who brought this deal to my inbox for you. And here it is. We are going to go to Cincinnati today. We're going to Lowry Avenue in Cincinnati, a property that is asking, well, the owner is asking $237,000 for this property. And get this, I'm told that it's worth over $350,000. So we're gonna verify that in a couple of minutes. But if it really is worth 350 and we can buy it for under 250, and we're gonna see what type of condition this property is in. But there seems to be, without even running any numbers, there seems to be a large equity play here. And if you're looking at a property that's worth 250,000 and you probably have to do a rehab, if you're in it for 300, it'll be very difficult to cash flow unless your rent is well above 3,000 a month. And we just rarely see those type of rental incomes. So when we get to those higher price point properties, maybe it's not buy and hold so much as maybe a flip here. And so let's look at this. Plus, I'll remind you that there's the opportunity for a creative mortgage takeover. What do I mean by that? Well, this owner already has a mortgage on the property, and for just $36,000 down, that 36 is going to go in part to the seller, in part to the wholesaler, and you're able to take over the payments of that mortgage. And is it going to be forever? I probably am going to recommend not because this is not a buy and hold. It'll just be for 6, 9, maybe 12 months, just the time to do the renovation, market it, and sell it. And so you don't need to hold on to this mortgage for 20, 30 years. It's a short term, which the seller is going to prefer, and that's probably why they're offering the terms to begin with. So this mortgage is at 7%, and the PITI, which means the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payment, is about 1,500 a month. And so if your rent is 1,500 or 2,000, well, you can see that there's no cash flow left over because you still haven't done maintenance, you haven't done management, you haven't done utilities, you haven't done a shit buffer budget. You're still missing a lot of expense categories beyond the PITI. And so unless rent is much, much higher than 1,500, and we can check it, there won't be any cash flow. But I don't even need to run the numbers right now. I'm pretty certain that there's no cash flow here. But with that being said, let's make this as interactive as possible, like we normally do on these deal reveals. If you like this deal, give us a thumbs up at any point in the next 5, 10 minutes. If you like it, do a thumbs up, send a heart. If you don't like it, start the booing. And if you're interested in this deal because you want to take action on it, you want to negotiate, you want to put in an offer, you want to do what you have to do, send us an email, info@jkrealestatepartners.com. We never do any bidding wars or anything like that. It is first come, first serve. So with that being said, let's dive in. We got our property. Like you see me do so often, go to Google, type in that property's address, follow it by realtor, okay? And what do you get? You get this. This is the property. It is a 4, 2.5 single family home built in 1987. This is definitely on the newer side. And look, it was last sold in 1990. That was when I was born, ladies and gentlemen. 1990 for $48,000. So if you tell me real estate doesn't appreciate over time, well, take a look at this, right? 48,000, basically 35 years ago. And the property is about that, 30, 37 years old, 38 years old. So let's take a quick look at the pictures. It is a single family home. And looking at this, we need to confirm if these are really the pictures, but from what we got here, this is looking very nice. Very, very nice. Maybe for a flip, you'd want to update the countertops. Maybe put some stone, something like quartz or granite, something like that. You'd have to do a little due diligence in the marketplace. I would upgrade, the light fixtures. These are all standard. For 500 bucks, you can upgrade all the main light fixtures of a property, really make it dazzle, sparkle. But I mean, if this is what the property is looking like, I like where it's starting here. This is the basement, clean, very clean. I love it. Waterlocked, the whole thing. We're not even dealing with wood siding. I mean, it was built 35 years, so it's a newer property, that's for sure. So I'm not so concerned about the siding. I'm not so concerned about the windows, etc. So I'm liking this. I don't know about you guys. Got a little corner lot happening here, real quick. A little bit about the neighborhood. We got a five-way intersection here. There we go. Yeah, look at that. I like it. Again, we're not paying $40,000. We are paying 200 and something here. So one of the main reasons I like to go to realtor.com, yes, there's pictures, yes, there's information about the property, but they have the real estimate. This is really the main and first and foremost reason I'm coming here. So if I look at this over time, if you just follow a kind of a midterm trend here, I'm thinking it probably worth about 300. When I was sent this, they said ARV of 390. So take it, but trust, verify, adapt. If I'm looking at this, I'm thinking it's closer to 290 than 390. But maybe there's a possibility to hit above 300 here. So this is the number I am going in with. So I'm going to say 300 to keep, round numbers on this. Conservative, well, not conservatively. Right now it's looking like 300 is the ARV. And if you're paying 300 and 236, that means you have $64,000 of equity margin here. Thankfully, it's not a huge renovation. From what I saw, I mean, it looked really nice on the picture, so it's really hard to say, but change all the countertops and the light fixtures and do these little touch-ups here and there. It's looking like 15,000, but it's probably more. We just haven't done the inspection and so forth. But if it really is as little as 15,000 to update this, there does look like to be a $49,000 spread here. But this is heavily contingent on the fact that the ARV is 300 and not 325 or 350 or 375. Now, that is definitely something that would change the numbers radically. If this actually did appraise for 350, well, you'd have another $50,000 of wiggle room or profit margin built into the deal. And so, let's go back. What do we have here? 237, sorry, I put 236 with a down payment. Let me also just for a minute go back to my email to see if there was any more information that they gave. So they say it actually does need an HVAC, so I would add 5K at least for that. New furnace, maybe a new AC. If it's both, it's probably in the $6,000 range. They say rents are between 2,100 and 2,400, so you can see that the PITI being at 15.25 doesn't leave that much for cash flow if you did want to rent it out. So I'm just gonna rule out the keep this as a rental altogether. Interest rates at 7%. They're saying the ARV's at 390, and they're actually providing four comps. So for those of you who are chiming in live, I'm going to share in the chat here with everybody who is live right here. These are the comps that they provided. So there's one at 344, one at 330, one at 365, and then there's three other big ones above 400,000. Now, I'm not going to take the time on the deal reveal to look through all of these to really see if they are comparable or not, but there are clearly some properties selling in the low 300s and it appears to be in the low 400 as well. So it's looking good. Yeah, Paulo likes it. He thinks that those are big numbers. And if it really is closer to the $400,000 range, I think, given the condition of the property, this is a pretty easy flip with good margins involved. Add to that the fact that there's creative mortgage takeover, where you can basically get into this property for $36,000. Now, it's one thing to buy the property, to gain a controlling interest or become the owner with 36,000, but then there's also the funds to actually rehab it. Since this is a larger purchase price, we're in the 200,000, 250, and so forth, I would recommend that you do not get financing like rehab financing. The person who should buy this, in my opinion, to maximize the return has the 36,000 and has extra capital to actually do the renovation. So you're doing this deal all cash with a creative mortgage takeover. I would not try to get financing, wipe out the current debt, and just get financing for the purchase and the rehab. You already have a good chunk of the purchase built in by the structure of the deal here. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat here because I'm basically done. That's my deal. Normally here on the deal reveal, we're looking at rentals. We're looking for cash flow. And so there's two golden rules. Cash flow, is it paying you every month because that rental income is higher than all the expenses? And the second golden rule is, are you buying at a discount? If you're looking to do a flip, the cash flow is not important because we're not selling to an investor who's looking for cash flow. You're going to sell this to a home buyer, to a retail home buyer. And so your job is to see what are the other retail sales doing in the marketplace. You want to copy what they're doing and you want to expect to be somewhere in the middle of all the sold comps. For the most part, don't try to be the top of the market. Those are hard. That ceiling is hard to push up by yourself. But if you're right in the median, you're doing on average, maybe a little bit more than what on average other people are doing, and you're selling for an average price, that is what's going to create the best results, the less risk, and the less stress involved in your fix and flips. So with that being said, it looks like we have somewhere between a 50 to $150,000 equity spread. Yes, it's a big if, but if you're interested in this type of deal, send us an email. We can put you in contact with the seller, and you can make your offer contingent on an appraisal contingent on inspection, contingent on whatever you want, partner's approval, so that you do have exits if the appraisal doesn't come in where you want it to come in. Now, last little note I want to give here. I'm giving you a lot today, but it's important to get a good grasp of what's happening around this deal. I would highly recommend you make this deal contingent on appraisal. And if the seller's so convinced that it's worth 390, I'd say contingent on 375. Give them a little bit of breather. And if it happens to come in lower, well, then you have a leg to stand on to either back out or renegotiate to recreate another margin. So this is a condition you're going to have to add into your contract because you're not getting traditional financing or hard money financing. No one's going to request or require that you get an appraisal on this deal. However, for your own protection, to make sure that the margin is really there, that it doesn't appraise at 290, but really closer to 390, well, that's what you're going to have to do. Make it contingent on appraisal, and if it does come in lower, adapt. If it comes in higher, dance and celebrate. So, with that being said, deal or no deal here? Do we like this one? Seems like a rather small renovation, 50 to 150,000 in equity margin spread. All right. Two thumbs up and one heart. All right. Well, if you are interested in this deal, you know what to do. Send us an email, info@jkrealestatepartners.com. And here's another thumbs up. Fantastic. And we will help you out. I don't think I saw any questions come in. Stan says it's a deal. More thumbs up. Fantastic. I love it. So, with that being said, that's our deal reveal for the evening. And I will remind you one last time that our epic blueprint is on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Okay. Just this coming next week. Okay. So 3 full days of training. If you want, the full A to Z breakdown, setting yourself up, finding these deals, crunching the numbers, putting them under contract, inspecting them, doing the due diligence, getting the financing, using leverage, getting into creative real estate, all of everything. Well, that's what the Epic Blueprint is all about. It's what you need to know to navigate US real estate as a non-American, as a Canadian, or as a foreign national. So, as I said, you're going to learn how to set up your entities, avoid double taxation, protect yourself against liabilities and lawsuits. You're going to find those deals, you're going to analyze, evaluate them, you're going to learn how to finance them, what to expect if you do get financing. You're going to protect your assets with the right wording in your contract. Just like I showed you right now, subject to appraisal is a big one for this deal. We're going to show you not one, not two, not 15, but over 19 different creative strategies, just like this one. This is one of them, where you can buy with little or none of your own money. We're going to show you how important it is to have professional management and how to navigate that for long-term rentals, for short-term rentals. And we're going to teach you how to recycle your money from deal to deal to deal with the Burr method. All right. So we want to set you up to win so you can profit right now from US real estate. So what do you get for signing up to this 3-day training? You get the 3-day training. Like I said, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. There will be a recording also available. So if you can't make it during the week, perfectly understandable. You won't miss a thing because there is a recording available. We value this training, this 3-day, over $3,000. That's what we paid over 10 years ago for our first 3-day training. And you're going to get a lot more out of these 3 days than what we got in our 3 days. But if you do sign up, you do get the full 3-day training plus 4 bonuses that we're throwing in free of charge. You're going to get our ultimate real estate calculator, which includes tutorials on how to use the calculator in different situations. You're going to get a quick start boot camp so that after the 3 days, we are going to keep you accountable. We're going to give you what is the next step, the next homework, so that you get the results. You find the deals and you find the money to buy those deals. It's all about the deals and the money. That's the quick start boot camp. After you've gotten all the theory, all the bases covered, now we want to get you into results, into action. We're also throwing in our roadmap to your first US property. That's where we go into the lingo. We go into, and you can even read this before you attend the blueprint so that you're already immersed in the language, into what to expect. And also, it goes through the flow of buying a property from the first time you see it to you having it under contract and ready to close. It goes through every little step along the way. Plus, we're throwing in an extra training specifically on just real estate. Why is real estate such a great investment? Even if it's not in the US, real estate has nine powers. And I think it's very important to know those powers and ultimately weigh those powers against maybe other investments who might only have two or four of the powers, whereas real estate has nine. And it makes it a very powerful investment and asset class. So if you include the actual training and all the bonuses, we're well over 3,500. But if you sign up with this link or this QR code, if you just scan this right now, you're going to get access to the 3-day training and every one of those four bonuses for $100, right? It will not get any cheaper than this. So there's no point in waiting. Like I said, if you can't attend in person, the recording is there's also an option to get the recording. It'll be a little bit more for the recording. We do prefer you show up live. We've seen better results when you show up live, but that doesn't mean you have to. There is an option for the recording as well if you just check off VIP on the checkout page. So $100. What else did I want to say? Oh, as a final bonus, if you're here and you're looking and you log in today, after you sign up, you're going to get an email offering you a 100% affiliate commission. So if you know someone else who would be very excited to get a $4,000 training for $100, share with them your affiliate link, and the $100 that they pay goes to you. All right. So your training will be 100% free on us. So with that being said, we really, really do hope to see you. And I will say one last thing. I will have a few words from Matisse next, and you might have heard him in the past. He's actually going to be on the Deal Reveal live next week to tell you what he's been up to these last couple of months. So let's hear from Matisse, who obviously attended the blueprint and is going about recycling his capital, creating equity, creating cash flow, deal after deal. So, with that being said, have yourselves a great evening and let's hear a few words from Matisse.
Hi, my name is Mathis and I live in Toronto. I'm French and I've been in Canada since August 2019. I signed up last year in February or March 2023 with JK because I knew nothing about real estate and I did a bit of investments in France but nothing in Canada, nothing in US, and I had to learn a lot and I was looking for something that would teach me everything I needed to know, but I wanted to learn from people that were actually doing it. I didn't want to learn from people that had ideas or opinions. I wanted to learn from people with great successes and serious experience. So I did several fantastic trainings, but there are three that I really want to recommend. First, I did the Blueprint program, the live training in Florida in April of last year. And I took the VIP package, which was fantastic because I got to spend the time with the team for the entire time of the training, and I had unlimited access to Janie and Kyle and could ask all the questions I wanted. I also watched two other trainings, the Blueprint Expanding Program and What the Gurus Don't Tell You, two other phenomenal trainings that made me learn so much. Since then, since that first training in April 2023, I've been able to open my legal entities, keep on training, keep on learning. I acquired a first duplex end of October, a second one end of January. Both are cash flow positive, and yes, it's been an amazing journey. And well, I know I would have never been able to do that much within less than a year without working with them. And what made me two things made me want to sign up with them. A, they're phenomenal people. Two, they actually walk the talk and they know what they're talking about, and what they teach is what has helped them become successful. They might not be for everyone, but the only way to find out is just to talk to them, and it's been one of my best business decisions ever.
Well, thank you very much, Matisse. And like I said, he will be on next week, and we're gonna see if he still holds true to what he said when he recorded this last year. So at this point, you got a choice. Join us for the Epic Blueprint. We're giving you this blank check, And we are so excited to see what you write on that check. Because in the next 60 to 90 days, you're getting your first check regardless. It's a guarantee. It's either your first cash flow check, $100 to $5,000 a month on your first deal, and you're on your way to financial freedom, or it's a completely different type of check you're going to get, a reality check that U.S. real estate was not in your decision log, and you continue doing exactly what you're doing right now. And I hope you're enjoying that. But you ultimately get to decide right now what type of check you write for yourself. And I am very excited if you do decide to join the community and join the Epic Blueprint. We're very excited. I'm personally very excited to know what you're going to write on your check. So, with that being said, we have the Epic Blueprint next week, and we have our next Epic bus tour in August. We hope to see you in Cleveland and join the thousands of members in our community who have collectively acquired over $100 million of U.S. real estate to date. So congratulations, you're
You
part
know,
of the
where
action.
like I would not.
And with that being said, this is your opportunity for $100 to get started, to learn the foundation, and go get your miracle. So scan the code right here and do now for tomorrow. Have a great weekend, a great evening, everyone. A great weekend if we don't see or hear from you tomorrow. Cheers.